It was a cold night in the city. By the side of the road sat a small 8-year-old orphan boy, Sam. Wearing torn clothes, barefoot, and shivering hands clutching a small piece of dry bread. People passed by, but no one noticed him. He looked up at the sky, as if searching for an old friend. At that moment, a faint, pitiful sound came from the dark alley. Woof! Woof! Sam noticed it. It was the sound of a puppy. He slowly walked toward the alley and saw a small, cute, shivering puppy sitting behind a trash bin. Its body was covered in mud, and its eyes were filled with fear. Smiling gently, Sam said, "Don't be afraid. Come on, I'm here." He took out his old sack and wrapped the puppy in it. From that day on, their companionship began. In the morning, when Sam sat by the roadside, he had only a single piece of dry bread. He ate half himself and gave the other half to the puppy. The puppy, overjoyed, climbed into his lap, wagging its tail. Sam laughed, "Now you're my friend. I'll name you Max." The puppy barked in reply, as if to say, "Yes." Days passed. Sam cleaned car windows, asked people for a few coins, and whatever he got, he always kept something aside first for Max. At night, the two slept under the bridge. Max would rest his head on Sam's chest and fall asleep. Whenever someone scolded him, Max would step forward and growl. Sam would laugh and say, "Oh Max, you've become my little guard now." One night, Sam and Max were lying under the open sky. Sam pointed to a shining star and said, "Look, Max, that star is my mother. She must be watching me from up there." Max licked his palm, as if saying, "I'm here with you." One day, it rained heavily. Sam was shivering, drenched in the cold. His body was burning with fever. Max never left his side. He sat beside him, licking him gently, as if saying, "Get up, Sam. Please get up." The next morning, Sam was very weak. Max ran into the street, barking and tugging at people's feet. A kind shopkeeper followed Max and found Sam. He lifted him up and took him to the hospital. Slowly, the soft rays of the sun began to slip into the room through the window. The air carried the scent of hospital medicine, yet that morning felt unusually warm, as if someone had brought hope back to life. Sam's eyelids fluttered, his heavy eyes slowly opened. White walls all around, the faint beeping of machines, and sunlight streaming through the window. For a few moments, he couldn't understand where he was. Then his eyes turned toward the door. There, curled up on the floor, was Max, his eyes tired, but still shining with the same familiar light. It was as if he had been guarding the place the entire time. With trembling lips, Sam whispered, "My Max." The moment Max heard that voice, he jumped up and ran to the bed, wagging his tail. Tears of joy filled his eyes, and Sam's too. Sam reached out his hand. That small, frail hand which had endured countless nights of hunger and cold. Max touched it gently with his nose, then softly licked it, as if saying, "I'm here, and I always will be." Sam smiled, a weak but peaceful smile, and said, "My Max, you saved me once again." The morning sunlight had now completely filled the room. Sam was feeling better than before. A faint smile played on his face, and beside him sat Max, wagging his tail, as if unable to contain his happiness. Just then, the door slowly opened. The doctor came in, accompanied by a couple, a well-mannered, kind-looking man and woman, both with warmth on their faces, yet a slight sadness lingered in their eyes. The doctor smiled and said, "This is Sam, who has endured so much with this lovely dog named Max. It was this very dog who brought him to the hospital last night. Otherwise, perhaps, she left the sentence unfinished, his throat catching with emotion. The couple remained silent for a few moments. They both looked at Sam. That tiny, thin boy, yet with a glow of innocence on his face. Beside him, Max leaned close, as if standing guard over him. Tears welled up in the woman's eyes. She stepped forward gently and placed her hand on Sam's head. "Son, what is your name?" Sam replied softly, "My name is Sam. Everyone calls me that." The man smiled and asked, "And where do you live?" With innocence, Sam answered, "Just there, by the roadside, where people sleep in their homes. Max and I live there, together." For a few moments, silence filled the room. There was such depth in that small answer that tears fell from both their eyes. The woman looked gently toward her husband, then turned to Sam with a soft smile and said, "If we ask you and Max to come with us, to live in our home, study, play, and never sleep hungry again, would you come?" Sam first looked at Max, and Max seemed to peer into his eyes, as if saying, "Yes, let's go." A sparkle appeared in Sam's eyes. He whispered softly, "But Max will come too, right?" The woman leaned closer and said, "Max won't just be with you anymore. He will also be a part of our family." Tears flowed from Sam's eyes. He hugged Max and smiled, saying, "Now I have a home, and I have my Max too." The day of Sam's discharge from the hospital had arrived. The doctor said that Sam was now completely healthy. The couple, who everyone now respectfully called Sir and Ma'am, had diligently completed all the paperwork. They were now going to legally make Sam their son. Sam and Max were overjoyed. Sam kept repeating, "Now I'll have a home too, right? And Max will too?" The woman smiled and said, "Yes, dear, now both of you are a part of our family." As the car drove out of the hospital, Sam quietly said, "But I need to get a bag from my old place. It has some of my important things in it." The man nodded and said, "All right, let's go there." Sam ran ahead, picked up the bag, brushed off the dust, and hugged it tightly to his chest. Max wagged his tail happily, as if saying, "We won't have to come back here again." The car moved ahead, this time straight toward a shopping mall. It was Sam's first time in such a big mall. His eyes widened in amazement. Clothing stores, toys, lights, and happiness all around. The woman said, "Today we'll get new clothes, shoes, and toys for you." The man added, "And for Max, food and a brand new bed." Sam and Max both jumped with joy, as if they were living in a dream. By evening, they reached their new home. A big house with a green, lush lawn, pictures on the walls, and a pleasant fragrance in the air. Sam said in astonishment, "This big house, is all this ours?" The woman lovingly replied, "Yes, son, this is your home now." Max got a special bed of his own, and Sam got his very own room, its walls painted in shades of blue, and sunlight streaming through the window, turning the whole room golden. Days went by. Sam had started going to school. For the first time in his life, he had books, a uniform, and a school bag. Every morning, Max would walk him to the door, and then wait by it until noon for his return. One day, while Sam was at school, Max picked up that same old bag that Sam had brought from under the bridge. He went straight to the woman and placed the bag at her feet. The woman opened the bag in surprise. Inside was a small golden locket, and seeing it made her hands tremble. She gently opened the locket. Inside was an old photograph, showing an innocent one-year-old child smiling. Tears streamed down the woman's face. It was the very same child, Sam. the boy they had lost 6 years ago in California. The woman's breath caught. She held the photograph in her trembling hands and shouted, This is our son." She immediately called her husband from the office. By evening, when Sam returned from school, they were both waiting for him at the door. The moment Sam stepped inside, the woman ran to hug him, and her tears wouldn't stop falling. The man said in a trembling voice, "Sam, you are our lost son Alex. You were lost in California 6 years ago. We searched everywhere, but we couldn't find you." Sam, or now Alex, quietly looked into their eyes. Then he softly said, "So Max was the one who brought me to you." The woman wiped her tears and said, "Yes, son, God made Max your guardian angel." Max came closer and wagged his tail, as if he knew everything. That evening, the house was filled with laughter, tears, and love all at once. Sam, now Alex, went to his room and, hugging Max, said, "Look, Max, now our home is complete." Outside, the setting sun spread golden rays across the sky. It seemed to say, every unfinished story eventually finds its home. It just takes a little time.